How long do you think people have been eating yogurt for? A, 7,000 years, B, 5,000 years, C, 1,000 years. The answer is A. It's believed that yogurt was created around 7,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Turkey. Since then, though, it has made its way all around the planet and has made its way into tons of amazing dishes. Today, we're going to learn about 5 yogurt-forward dishes from 5 different countries to explore how creative people have gotten with this one fermented food.
Hi, my name is Violette. I'm currently studying in Paris, but I'm originally from a region called Centre-Val de Loire in France. The dish I want to share with you today is Gâteau Yaourt, literally yogurt cake in English. It's a very popular type of cake in France, especially when you're a kid. To me, Gâteau Yaourt is the most basic cake you could think of.
This might be the most expensive yogurt I've ever bought. I think it was like $3.99 for this little pot. Yeah, it's good. It's creamy. It's thick. This is a whole milk yogurt. It's good. Is it $3.99 good? I don't know.
There's no specific shape for it. You're basically making it in whatever baking pan you have. It's made with very simple ingredients that everyone has in their cupboards. What's also special about this cake is the way to prepare it. Every dry ingredient is measured thanks to the yogurt container. You would often make it just to use that old yogurt that's been in your fridge for ages.
This feels so arbitrary because I'm so used to baking being so rigid. I feel like I keep interrupting this recipe. It's because my mind is being blown.
And that's why you don't need a particular type or brand of yogurt. I think that every French person knows this cake. It's kind of like everyone's childhood's cake.
I'm realizing now I should have done a French butter, but I have a lot of opinions about butter and I love this butter. What do we think of a butter episode? I would like a butter episode, please.
You would eat it at birthday parties, or it's the kind of cake that your parents would make for the party at the end of the year at school. What's interesting about this cake is that every family has their own version of it. It's always the same recipe, but some would add chocolate chips or vanilla extract at the end. Personally, I like to add some lemon zest. It's also the type of cake that you make, not that you buy. I've actually never seen a gâteau yaourt in a bakery.
In my mayonnaise bread episode, I was like, oh, I can taste the batter because there's no eggs in it. And a lot of people in the comments were like, no, Beryl, it's the flour that makes you sick. So I would really like to know if you guys think it is the raw flour or the raw eggs and batter. I'm gonna taste it anyway because I don't really think I'm gonna get sick. Oh, that tastes pretty good. Lemony, which I do like.
Gâteau yaourt always reminds me of my childhood when I used to make it with my parents or my grandparents, or even alone, because I think that's the very first cake I made by myself. To be honest, I don't eat it that often now, but it always brings me so much comfort when I do. When I was little, I think that I liked it because of how it tasted and because of the texture. It's kind of spongy and crispy on the edges. But now I think that I also like it because of all the memories that come with it.
Now we pray. Oh my God. Sublime!
Not that! I definitely recommend you to try Gâteau Yaourt because it's so easy to make. There's no particular ingredients or utensils needed. And frankly, it tastes good, so there's literally no good reason not to try it.
Here I sit, as I live and breathe. 2 episodes back to back where I successfully baked something. There are so many people to thank, mostly myself. I'm just kidding. This is beautiful. It's standing tall and it smells so good. We have a new artist behind me. Her name is Lena Winterton. I'm leaving all of her info in the description. Let's try this cake. It tastes like a real cake. It's lemony. Oh, it's so lemony and it is moist. and crispy on the outside. I can't believe that this cake came out of my oven from these hands. It is delicious. It is simple and rustic and tastes like a good slice of cake. I think the yogurt definitely added a creaminess to it, more so than I guess using milk would have done. The concept of using that cup to measure everything else out tripped me up way more, I think, than it should have, because I have no confidence in baking, and so all of a sudden I'm left with, well, how high up was the yogurt? Like, how high up should I fill this? Because the yogurt wasn't all the way to the top. You know, was it all the way to the top? No, nothing's ever filled to the top, right? And so I just never knew how much flour and sugar, and then was it gonna be the same every time? I don't know, man. This is just a cup life here. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This cake is a little bit more of an art and not a science. I don't think it needs to be exactly perfect. I mean, I only made it once, but I wasn't exactly perfect, and it obviously worked out. The feeling that I got when I unhooked the cake and it just slid out of the tin, yes! Oh my God, that was so cool. Oh, and I was just so happy it didn't stick, but it looked really, really good. It looked real good. I never thought that France would submit a recipe that left me feeling so good about myself in the kitchen. I work in a French castle, and I'm just like, oh, my prince. And yet, here we are. What a way to start the episode.
Hi Beryl, I'm Ülkü and I'm from Adana in Turkey. The yogurt dish that I want to share today is Yayla çorbası or Yayla soup. You need rice. Leftover rice is very good for this. Yogurt, an egg, and some dried mint for this soup. I love this soup because it's easy to make. It has a few basic ingredients, but the result is a hearty, creamy, healthy soup. It's made all around Turkey, especially in wintertime. There are some slight variations, of course. You could add chickpeas or even shredded chicken.
Cooking dairy, I have a lot of difficulty with because I just find it curdles like immediately, or if I'm cooking milk, it just boils over all the time. Oh no, 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 no! Oh my God, just as I said it. So the directions say that I need to cook it on very low heat so that the yogurt gets used to the heat. So we're gonna go slow and steady. I'm gonna be here stirring for the next 15 minutes. I need my phone. I'm just gonna do a quick Hindi lesson on Rosetta Stone, the sponsor of today's episode. Rosetta Stone is a language learning app that helps you learn a language in a really intuitive way. I've been learning Hindi for a while, and one of my favorite things about Rosetta Stone is that it requires you to speak to it. दौड़ रही हैं. लड़कियां दौड़ रही है. They have a voice recognition tool that allows you to practice your speaking against real native speakers. So if you pronounce something wrong, it'll let you know and help you improve it. Another thing that I like about their app is that you don't learn vocabulary. It's not just like, here's a word, learn it, but you learn how to use things in a sentence and you really learn everything holistically. And I think that that helps when you're learning a language to see the broader picture and not just like individual things, which can get really overwhelming. The other thing that's nice is that you can download these lessons on the go. So if, for example, you're traveling and you don't have Wi-Fi, you can download all your lessons so that you can keep learning even if you're not connected to the internet. I have been learning Hindi for a long time. I find it to be a really difficult language. The girls reading. Oh, ladkiya is plural. But the nice thing about Rosetta Stone is that the lessons are short, so you don't need to dedicate huge amounts of time to pick up little bits here and there. You can do it while, for example, you're stirring yogurt for a dish that cannot burn. If Hindi is not the lesson that you're trying to learn, they have tons of different languages to choose from, and they have a lifetime subscription offer that you can get through this channel that will give you 60% off all of their languages for life, which is crazy. So you could learn multiple languages throughout your life with them. Through the link in my description, you can get this lifetime subscription for $149, down from $399, which is 60% off. Aadmi pa rahe hai. Slick. And with that, I think the yogurt is actually ready for stage 2.
When my children were young, I would make this soup all the time and they would love it. They called it white soup. In Turkey, it's very common to make your own yogurt at home, but of course there are many yogurt brands on the market as well. We love having plain yogurt with almost every dish that we eat. Yayla soup is good for breakfast, for lunch, or for dinner. You should try this soup because even though it's a creamy soup, it's actually quite healthy, and the slight yogurt taste with the dried mint creates a nice, refreshing combination. I hope you make this soup and I hope you enjoy it.
This dish really reminds me of an Armenian soup dish that I made years ago called tanapur. It kind of also looks like rice pudding. This is so interesting. I don't know if it's because I said it. It kind of tastes like rice pudding, but it's like a thick yogurt with rice in it. If that's not rice pudding, then what's rice pudding? This is very comforting in a very interesting way. There's a real creaminess to this dish. It coats your whole mouth, and then you have the infused butter on top that gives kind of a bit of a cut to it. There's a very thin line between creamy and too creamy. We're just there, you know? I think with rice pudding, it's very creamy, but it's a dessert, and so you kind of give it a little bit more room. I like the chickpeas. I think if you didn't have the chickpeas, it might be too much for me, and adding the paprika on top really helps. Left to my own devices to make this again, which I think I would, especially if I was gonna do a big Turkish dinner at home. I made a Turkish feast. I think having this with other things, this would be so, so nice. What's so interesting to me about this dish is how the yogurt was thinned out, then rethickened, then rethinned, and what you've ended up with is something that wholly tastes different from the yogurt that I started with. When I started with the Dannon and I tasted it, I was like, yeah, this is whatever. This now feels luxuriously thick. Silky even. This is a really interesting dish to try. I would highly recommend adding this onto the whole table to make the whole thing a feast. There's a lot of great uses for this, and it's a very cool technique that I feel like we learned today.
Hey Beryl, hey everyone, my name is Leili. I am originally from North Houston, but I'm currently living in Dallas, and my dad is Persian and my mom is Japanese. The dish I want to talk about is tahchin. It's a Persian yogurt, meat, and rice dish that can be sliced like a cake. It's crunchy, it's filling, but it's complicated to make. So if there's tahchin at the table, you know we're celebrating something special.
I'm gonna tell you, this is my confessional. I'm not feeling great. I just know this is a hard dish. So, with that, my heart is racing.
Tahchin is like a cross between biryani and a casserole, but to describe it like that is inaccurate. When you make tahchin, you make tahdig at the same time. Tahdig is the crunchy rice at the bottom of the pot. Persians love tahdig. If you're eating rice, you're gonna make tahdig. And when you serve tahdig and tahchin too, you take the cooking vessel and you turn it upside down. So it's a rite of passage when, for the first time, your mom lets you flip her rice pot and reveal all the hard work. Tahchin has all the crunchy goodness of tahdig, but a whole lot more. So tahchin has a lot of saffron and zereshk, both quintessential Persian flavors. Zereshk is barberries in Farsi.
I'm like, what does a barberry taste like? Like, what, is this like a cranberry? It's like a little, oh, it's sour. I get, candying makes sense. These are good though.
It's pretty common in Persian food to blend sour with sweet and savory. Hence, there's a lot of fruits in our main courses. Tahchin is richer. It's crunchy and it's soft. It's moist from the yogurt, but it's not mushy.
This rice was brined for an hour, and so now we're gonna cook it, and we're again gonna do the draining method where you cook the rice in extra water and drain it through a colander. So if you've never seen this before, there are many ways in the world to cook rice, and one of them is a draining method.
Now let's talk about the yogurt. This is a yogurt episode after all. So my family always stocks Arz or Abali yogurt, but any brand from a Mediterranean or Middle Eastern market will do. These types of yogurts are a little bit more tart and slightly looser. And you definitely need that when you're making tahchin. You want all that flavor. So tahchin is something that my mom always makes for my dad's birthday, and occasionally she'll make it for me when I visit home. She learned how to make it from my Emmet, who in turn learned how to make it from my mom on June.
This does look pretty, and it smells You can really smell the saffron, which if you like the smell of saffron, you'll like the smell of this dish.
Tahchin, it's a lot to handle. It's a difficult dish.
Prepping the sides here.
Persians, we're a prideful people, but we're very giving and generous too. We love our food and we love our culture fiercely, and we want to share it with y'all. We want you to enjoy our labor of love with everyone else that we hold dear. But most of all, it's just fun to eat.
Okay, that's it. There's nothing more that any of us can do. I really want this to work.
It's a delicious dish and worth every hour though.
Just release, okay? You gotta do that for us.
And you know you're special when you get to eat tahchin with us. So I hope, Beryl, you enjoy it and it didn't make you sweat too much.
You got this.
Editor, cue some really dramatic music. Just go, just go, just go. Just do it, just do it, just go, just go. I can't.
You got this, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got it.
I feel like I just don't know how to flip. 1, 2, 3. That's it. I don't think it did it. I could feel. Crap. Nope. No. Oh, this is so sad. Oh, this is so sad. Well, that was really disappointing. But I think I can rescue the cap because it is crunchy at the bottom. It's burnt, but I still think I have something to present to the judges.
And for everyone else, I challenge you to try to make it, but if not, I'm sure somewhere there's a Persian restaurant you'll run across one day that has tahchin on the menu. With all the various textures and the fact it slices like a cake, it's just kind of fun. Thank you and enjoy. Nushajan. Bye.
It's sliced like a cake. I knew going into this recipe that it was going to be hard, and I had low expectations that this was going to happen, but there was also like a part of me that was like, this is gonna happen. Like I like hyped myself up to believe it, but I also didn't believe it. Even the recipe that I followed was like, you're probably gonna mess it up a bunch. It's like, cool. All right. I mean, it's delicious. Yum. It still tastes really good. So like at the end of the day, I still have beautiful rice and chicken. It just isn't crunchy or crusty or looking at all the way it was supposed to look. I feel though like I did make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. We might not have the crunchy bits, but we can cover it with decoration. It looks good. Like that final plating, if I put that, if I went to someone's house and they put that down, I'd be like, oh my God, beautiful. Ah, come on. So you bring that to the table, no one's pissed. No one's mad at you. So looking back, here are some of my thoughts about where things went wrong. It does taste good. Okay, number one, there's a part of me that wonders if I should have used a cast iron style pot that would have brought the heat up on the sides, because like this did not get crusty even slightly on the side. So maybe if I had used like my stove or something, that would have worked out better. Number two, I know that my stove runs hot, but I thought I had moved it to a tiny burner in the back and turned the heat down, and yet it still burned it burned so much. So maybe it was still too hot. Maybe I didn't get enough water out of the rice after I drained it and rinsed it with cold water. There's a world where I do think that that could have happened. The rice, however, cooked really well and it's not really soggy, so the al dente part, I think I did fine. Also trying to give myself some compliments. There was a part of me after I flipped it and I saw what was not there that thought like, cut my loss. I'm not gonna show this, I'm not gonna share it. This is a fail. But then I was like, that's okay. It's about the experience. It's about trying new techniques. This whole show is about exploration. It's not about the destination, it's about the friends you made along the way. I think there's a lot of great things that I learned while cooking this. I have mad respect right now for anyone who can make this dish. I really want to go out and buy it at like a restaurant and have it served to me. Am I gonna try to make it again? Yes. Not today. Not today. But I am gonna try it again. Yeah.
Hi Beryl, my name is Ishmeet and I'm from Vancouver, Canada. My family comes from the Punjab region of India. Today I'm sharing a dish called Kadhi, which literally translates to cooked and reduced, because this dish requires you to cook it and reduce it to thicken the yogurt-based gravy. Kadhi is a creamy gravy dish made from dahi, traditional Indian yogurt, along with besan or ground flour as the base of the gravy. In the Punjabi version of Kadhi, we usually add pakoras or crunchy fried vegetable fritters to the dish. This dish is more on the milder side of most Indian dishes as it's not too flavorful and just has the basic masalas or spices. It is mostly paired with rice and is actually one of the few dishes us Punjabis eat rice with instead of roti. It is an extremely important staple of Punjabi home cooking, and I usually eat it as a light comfort food.
I have had this dish many times. It's actually one of my favorite dishes that my mother-in-law makes, and I've just like never felt brave enough to try it, but this was a great excuse to give this recipe a go.
I believe kadhi is a common dish among many cultures in India, but what makes our Punjabi kadhi different is the use of pakoras and maybe a variation of spices. My family and friends get really excited when they find out that kadhi chawal or kadhi with rice is on the menu.
Curry leaves are one of my favorite ingredients. Ugh, smells so good. These are the best.
For this dish, we use homemade dahi or traditional fermented yogurt in our households.
I've had some pretty weird luck with spatial recognition recently. I think this is gonna fit. It's gonna cook down, but like, will it fit immediately? TBD. Oh no, this is not gonna fit. It just fit. It just fits. It just fits. All right, I mean, it's close, but not too close for comfort.
But this typically requires 8 to 10 hours to make. So you can use any store-bought dahi from the Indian grocery store and it'll work just fine. I personally prefer that because it's less sour and I don't like sour kadhi. Kadhi is one of these dishes that you will rarely find in any Indian restaurant because it gives you an authentic insight into what simple Indian home cooking is. It depicts the real Indian home culture. You should try this dish because Indian food is known for generalized dishes like butter chicken, chole bhature, and pani puri, but no one knows about the immense diversity of traditional dishes each region of India calls their own.
Coming off of the Iranian recipe and tucking into this one was a lot. Let's just see what we've got going on. I think it's good, but I don't know. Oh, thank God. Wow, this tastes like my mother-in-law's version. I mean, hers might be a little bit better, but it tastes good. I'm gonna get some of my pakora. Damn. Two things about this dish. Number one is you have to cook it for a pretty long time because you want the yogurt to cook and turn slightly sour. Number two, I would not recommend this dish for people who do not have already lots of Indian spices at home. The thing is, even though this is not a spicy dish at all, this is a spiced dish. There are so many elements and different flavors at play to make this what it is. I don't think that you can necessarily skip out on the one that's like, oh, a quarter teaspoon of this and a half a teaspoon of that. It's small amounts of everything, but all of those things come together and become something so much bigger. If you already have a spice cabinet that's big and maybe you need one or two more things, do it, but there's a lot going on here, which I will admit. I don't know if you could just sub any type of yogurt for the Indian yogurt to make this. Maybe. In the comments, maybe somebody here knows. If the kadhi feels too much to tackle, understandably, I would still try the pakoras. The pakoras are easy to make and just so delicious and fun, and like, pakoras are just the best. So, if anything, take away that from this. As far as a yogurt recipe, I think this is so interesting. It has totally transformed the yogurt into something wholly different, but it's also like very yogurty. And I love that about this. I love that it's made me look at yogurt as something like really savory, and I get why a million people emailed me to make this one. It is such an interesting way to look at yogurt. Not only visually does it look totally different, but the flavor of it has been transformed in such a way that it's just grown exponentially, and I love that. I love that. It's very cool.
Hello everyone, my name is Bara'a. I live in New York and I am originally from Jordan. The yogurt dish I'm sharing today is Shish Barak. It is a kind of dumplings or ravioli cooked with hot yogurt sauce. The dumplings are shaped like little hats, or some say that they look like ears, stuffed with a mixture of ground meat and then baked and cooked in a hot yogurt sauce. It is usually served with white rice and vermicelli.
Yes, I'm making dumplings again. I don't really know why I said yes. I think it's just because I refuse to be defeated by a food group. This dough feels good. I'm gonna do it this time.
Shish Barak is a Levantine dish. It is very common in Jordan, Palestine, Syria, and Lebanon. Yogurt is a very common ingredient here, and we have so many dishes that include the same hot yogurt sauce. We also eat fresh yogurt along with rice dishes, and we use it to marinate chicken.
Oh my God, these onions are so strong. Like, I'm honestly sobbing. What's the trick? What's the trick to make onions not make you cry? I'm sure you guys will tell me.
There's a cooking yogurt that does not curdle and has a distinctive tart taste. The most popular brands in Jordan are Al-Junaidi, Tiba, and Al-Mara'i. They make special yogurts for different dishes and recipes. We have it fresh, and we only buy yogurt that is produced today or yesterday. As for how hard it is to make shish barak, on a scale of 1 to 5, I would say it is 4. It's very time consuming, and it's better to make it as a group. You need to master shaping the dumplings and keeping an eye on the yogurt in order to get a smooth, creamy texture and avoid curdling or thinning.
I think I made these a little bit too big in retrospect, but I'm still feeling positive. We're gonna bake them.
Shish barak reminds me of my mom. She is the master of shish barak in the family. She has to be there, she has to supervise the making of shish barak every time.
This is so different than anything I've ever done, and I'm really scared it's gonna boil over. I still have my fear from the milk in the budget episode. And I don't want this to curdle, so I have to be at attention.
This dish is heartwarming and rich. It smells like my grandmother's house where we gathered to make it and enjoy it. Now that I moved away, I really missed those family gatherings, and I do my best to cook as much as possible of the dishes that remind me of home. If you feel cold during this harsh winter season and you want something heartwarming, you have to try shish barak. It is the definition of comfort food.
I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, or should I say my little dumplings before they get eaten? No, we're okay. We're just gonna try this. Oh my God. Where was this in my dumpling episode when I needed to feel good about myself? The yogurt sauce with the kind of garlicky coriander oil drizzle on top of it is to die for. Holy smoky rockamoles. Similar to the Indian dish, as this yogurt cooked down, it got more sour. And so there's this very comforting, like sour yogurt taste with the garlic and the meat and the spices. This is beautiful. This is beautiful from every single level of it. And the dumplings were easy to make. I did make them a little bit too big, but like, for my first time, it was great. The only hard thing about this, I think, really was making sure that the yogurt didn't curdle, and that just meant you just have to stand there and keep whisking and not infiltrate it with too much heat at once. I would honestly say that for all the steps that this dish had, I think it was actually relatively simple to execute. Oh God, also this feels great after our Iranian dish. Like, it's nice to have a win, a good win of something that's like, seems complicated. If you wanted to try this, but you did not want to make the dumplings, I do think that you could find a meat tortellini, and that would honestly work. It's not apples to apples, but it's like orange to apple. I really love how sour the yogurt turned when we cooked it. This is something I just didn't really realize about yogurt, and it was cool to see this happen in different countries, how cooking yogurt just changes the whole flavor profile of it. I read somewhere recently that most Americans don't eat yogurt every day, and that honestly shocked me because I love yogurt. And doing this episode and seeing all the different ways that yogurt is used around the world made me an even bigger fan of yogurt. It's so much more than I ever even realized. So thank you to everybody who submitted their recipes and made me love one of my favorite foods even more. All of the recipes are in the description, along with other things that I've mentioned during the episode. In the meantime, until next week, here are 2 more episodes for you to watch in our culinary universe, and I will see you all next week.